Yeah, I'll always be a metalhead. Nothing can take that away from me.
Right.
I mean, not jail, not people, not religion, not anything. I'll always be a metalhead. Metalhead leaves you all out.
You're listening to the Great Metal Debate Podcast.
Welcome back, metalheads, to another back-to-back underground metal album review. Today, we have an atmospheric melodic black metal band from Murfreesboro, Tennessee. This band is called Oubliette, and this is their third full-length studio album titled Eternity Whispers, released through the Artisan Era. Some of you might recall a review I did earlier this year for the Louisville, Kentucky melodic black metal band Volcandra. Remember when I said I first saw them live back in late 2019 when they opened up for Awada? Oubliette was the other band that also opened up for them the same night. I've been recognized as a top fan of Oubliette pretty much ever since. After they got off the stage, I bought both of their CDs from their merch table and later purchased the Apparitions debut cassette online. Too bad the cassette for The Passage had sold out, and as far as I know, they never did a reprint of it. However, I did manage to snag the very last zip-up hoodie in stock for the Passage album through the record label's website. Oubliette is among one of my top favorite local bands from the Tennessee area. The truly heartbreaking thing about me seeing them live that one time may have unfortunately been my very last. Yours truly must inform you all with a heavy heart that I'll be moving to Florida next weekend. By the time you hear this podcast episode, I will already be down there. The good news is that it's not my departure from the podcast. I will still be doing plenty of underground metal album reviews, and even interviewing local metal bands in the Tampa Bay area. At least I got my picture with 3 of the band members back in November, Chris, Mike, and Emily. They were simply attendees at the Inferi, First Fragment, and Summoning the Lit show. I then saw Mike at 3 more different shows after that. Anyway, last summer I saw that Oubliette were posting videos of them recording new music, so I had been anticipating this album for a long while now. The wait is finally over, and Mike was nice enough to hook me up with a promo 2 weeks before the official release date on June 7th. I've babbled on long enough, so let's jump right in. The album begins with the first single, which had a music video 2 months ago. It is, of course, the song Primordial Echo. If I'm being honest, the first couple times I heard the song, I guess I kept getting distracted, or just wasn't paying attention. Because every time this song ended, I forgot what the song even sounded like. Now that might not sound like a very good start, but it was my own fault. When I finally got the digital copy, I started to really listen and absorb the frequency waves being pumped in my ear canals. It starts with some softly played guitar, calmly bringing you the short and sweet intro for 48 seconds before the rest of the band fires on all cylinders immediately, kicking things into high gear. Before I go any further, I just have to thank the band for making the intro part of the first song. More and more bands I've noticed are starting to see that the obligatory intro tracks are cliche and skippable. I'm happy that it's actually part of the real song. There's no need to make separate tracks when it could just be morphed together. The whole song is a groovy cacophony of shredded riffs, pinched harmonics, yelling, and blast beats. At the 3-minute and 40-second mark, there's a soothing middle riff that I quite enjoyed, which mixes in a brief shred. All 3 guitarists, Michael O, Andrew Wampler, and Chris Austin, have perfected the art of working together and sharing similar ideas when it comes to the overall tone of the genre. With Death's Shadow was the second single released for Eternity Whispers, and it also happens to be the next track. How convenient. It's what I would consider to be the classic Oubliette style. Many things about the speed and pacing of this track remind me of the Apparitions debut. I'm proud of this band for not straying too far from what made me like them so much in the first place. On the other hand, there is an ambient clean singing which can be heard after the halfway point during the track, which is definitely a nice touch. It brought me back to the song Elegy from the previous album, The Passage. Great callback for the diehard followers. Drummer Spencer Moore is a fucking machine on the kit, especially throughout the song Consumed by the Void. The entire track is an unrelenting orgy of blast beats. It all makes perfect sense because he's also the drummer for Inferi. Also, whoever mixed and mastered this album did a fantastic job by keeping the drums loud, but not so much that it overpowers the other instrumentation. Oddly enough, there's a quiet little tune played at the end of the track, which ties in with the beginning of the following track titled Desolate Path. Now, I'm not entirely sure which of the three guitarists is behind the acoustic sounding guitar, but great work. Or maybe it could have been simply an electric guitar, but without the foot pedal. I'm not sure. Either way, I love that shit. The sweep picking moment at the 5-minute and 22-second stamp really caught my attention, but didn't last too long. A bonus credit for Spencer is that every beat of each drum has a resounding thud to it. Every whack of the snare packs a punch. This is proven once more in the next track, Dreams of Nevermore, but let's shift our focus for a moment to the lead vocalist Emily Lowe. She has so much built-up power in her lungs to keep going on and on for long periods of time on the microphone. It truly sounds as though she has given all she's got into the recording of this record. I'm still just as impressed hearing this as I was 4.5 years ago when I saw Oubliette command the stage live. But then the album slows down for a bit. We get a real treat for the ears, a lovely instrumental track called Ember's Embrace. It's a beautiful track with keyboards, audible bass, and drum cymbals. Of course, the guitars are a standout, and wait a minute, was that a violin I just heard, or is that just part of the synth work? Whatever that sound was, I want more. We only really hear it from 105 to 138 and 332 to 350. But simultaneously, we also hear a bass line being slapped by Cole. If that name sounds familiar, he used to play for the band while you were asleep. Despite this instrumental interlude not having vocals, it is definitely my favorite track on the album due to the wonderful musicianship. Vanish serves as the perfect conclusionary track for the record. Everything you have heard throughout this album comes together in one masterfully crafted track with impeccable structure. As you can already tell, this review has come to a close, but what do I rate this? If I'm being real with my audience, I would obviously recommend this album to anyone who is into this particular subgenre of metal. But just like how I didn't play favoritism with my friend's band earlier this year, I won't do it here either just because I know the band. However, I will be as fair as I can by giving them a solid 8 out of 10. Nothing truly falls short with the record, but I don't want to make it seem like I'm just overpraising them for being a rather impressive local band. So definitely don't sleep on this upcoming release. I can more than assure you that it will be worth your while. You want to know what's bullshit? Bandcamp doesn't do Bandcamp Friday every first Friday of the month anymore. Instead, it's only selected first Fridays of the month, and it only happens once every few months. What a shame, because this album is coming out Friday, June 7th, and normally it would be a Bandcamp Friday, but it isn't. The next Bandcamp Friday isn't until September 6th, but that doesn't mean you can't support them. All their music and merch is available exclusively on Bandcamp. The Artisan Era website currently has nothing. Not sure if that's subject to change or not, so just keep a watchful eye on the page. This has been Xander recording his final review while living in Tennessee. I can't wait to meet the death metal underground of Tampa, Florida. Things are about to get wild for this podcast. Always remember to support your local scene and keep it fucking metal.